Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we're going to be setting up the Sony PlayStation Classic, this little console here with 20 built-in games. So this is intended for beginners. If you've already set up an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Nintendo Switch, Wii U, etc., then you're not going to learn anything new in this video. This is purely for people that have never set up anything like this before. But the good news is, this one here is so easy to do. It's just a case of plugging it in and you can get gaming straight away. We don't have to connect it to Wi-Fi, we don't have to sign into anything. So it's just like years ago. Plug it in and you can start having fun right away. So it's going to be a great present for Christmas Day, because then you don't have to spend an hour setting it all up. The only thing that's not included in the box is a power supply, so I'm going to talk about that so you know which one to use. So in the box we get the console, we get two controllers so you can play two player, we get a HDMI cable and that will allow picture and sound to the TV, and we also get a power cable but not a power supply. So this is a USB to a micro USB. Now with this one here, obviously we have to have a TV capable of supporting HDMI, so it has to have HDMI ports. If you're unsure what they are, and if you have a look here, can you see these connectors here? These are HDMI, so on this one here there's two of them. So you have to make sure your TV's got them. If it hasn't, there is other adapters you can buy, but this isn't going to work out of the box unless you buy those special adapters. Now when it comes to the power supply, all you need to do is you need to have a USB power supply that's capable of supplying 5 volts at a minimum of 1 amp. So it doesn't matter if it's 1.5 amps or 2 amps, but it has to be at least 1 amp, because this thing here will draw a maximum of 5 watts. So it needs to be 1 amp to cover that. So I'm just going to use this old tablet charger here. This was from a Huddle tablet, and if you have a look at the back here, it says on it what it's capable of. So if you have a look at the bottom, can you see output 5 volts, 5.0 volts at 2 amps. So this is absolutely fine. It doesn't matter that there's more amps, because this isn't going to draw more amps. So this is perfectly safe to use. And we're just going to plug in the power supply into here. Now you can see here it's not going in that way, so don't force it. Just turn it round and put it in that way. It's only going to go in one way. Now if you're wondering whether yours is going to be suitable or not, you do need to have a look at the bottom of it or the back to see if it is, because here we have a USB charger and this might well work, but it might then cause problems with certain games. So if you have a look at this one here, can you see it says secondary, which is the same as output. So primary is what goes into it and secondary is what comes out. And can you see it's 5 volts at 550 milliamps. Now remember, there's 1,000 milliamps in 1 amp. So if it said 1,000 mA, that's fine because that's 1 amp. But this is 550 milliamps. So this is just over half an amp. So unfortunately, this wouldn't be powerful enough for this. So make sure you use the correct USB supply, but hopefully you will have them lying around the house. Now this is so easy to set up. All we have to do is go to the back here and we have 2 ports. This is the power supply here and it's micro USB. Now if you have a look closely, you can see it's shaped in a certain way. It's actually wider down the bottom than it is on the top. And if you have a look here, you can see one side is wider than the other. So again, if you're putting it in and it's not going in, don't force it or wiggle it. Just turn it round and then try again and you will see it will go straight in. So if it's not going in, just spin it round and then it will go in. Same with the HDMI cable. If you look at the way it's shaped, you can see that the top is bigger than the bottom. So again, you just need to match it up here. If you've got it the wrong way, it's not going to go in. Don't force it, just turn it round and plug it in there. So that is the back of it done. And then when it comes to the front, all we have to do is get these USB cables here. And it's really nice because they've done it to mimic the style of the original. This is the original PlayStation 1 controller here. And can you see when it's plugged in, it's going to look the same, but just miniaturized. So again, what we're going to do is USB and plug it into there like so. If it doesn't go, it means you've got it the wrong way round. Don't force it. Just put it this way so Sony is facing up. You can see Sony's written there. Plug it in there, and then if you want to play 2-player, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can plug that one into there. So now all we have to do is plug this in to our TV and also a power supply. So I'm going to plug in the TV bit first, the HDMI cable, before I plug it into the power supply. So we've got a nice long lead, so we're going to go around to the back of the TV, and if you have a look here, we've got 2 ports here. If you can't unplug one, so if both of them are in use, then you're going to have to get a HDMI switch. I'm going to show you that in a few seconds. And again, this needs to go in the correct way. So if it's not going in one way, don't force it. So on this TV, you can see it's gone in that way. But if it doesn't go in that way, you just need to turn it over. Again, just look how it's designed and you can tell which way it fits. Okay, push it all the way in and now that's home. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the USB power adapter and we're going to plug it in to a power supply. And now you will see, after a few seconds, it lights up orange. Right, I'm going to turn on the TV now and show you what you need to do. I'm also going to show you a HDMI switch. Okay, so here we have an example of a HDMI switch. There's loads of different types you can get. You can normally get these from Amazon and eBay for between 5 and 10 UK pounds, so not a lot of money. And if you have a look, this one here has 5 inputs to 1 output. Some of them only have 3 inputs to 1 output. You can get all different sorts, and you can get ones that support 4K resolution and stuff. But remember, with this, it's going to be 480p and 720p, so you don't need to have a good switch in relation to this. But maybe the other things you're plugging in, if you've got an Xbox One X, then you might want to use a 4K one on here. So if you have a look, we've got 1 output and we've got 5 inputs. So you can see there, 2, 3, 4, input 5, input 1. And the idea is you would plug in, for example, your PlayStation Classic into here. You might have your Xbox into here. You might have your set-top box into here, and then out of the output you have one HDMI cable that goes into one of the inputs on your TV. And then every time you want to use a particular device, if this one here is plugged into input number 5, then you need to press it down until you get to number 5. You can also get them with a little remote control, and then you can do it all wirelessly. Yeah. If you're ever having problems with them, then sometimes you need to power them. You need to provide them with the power supply that they need. This one here is 5 volts again, so you can use a USB charger. Right, okay, so as you can see now, the light's on there. We haven't turned it on yet. So now we're going to go to our TV and we're going to turn on our TV. Okay, you can see that we're on the TV now, but we need to tell the TV where to look for this PlayStation Classic, because remember, we plugged it into the back. So you need to remember where you plugged it into. In this instance here, I plugged it into HDMI 2, but it could have been 1, it could have been 3, it could have been 4, depending on how many ports your TV has. So let's go back to this old TV here, and if you have a look, you can see there's 2 HDMI ports, and they're labelled up, HDMI 1 and HDMI 2. So if we were to plug it into HDMI 2, we need to then get the remote control and tell the TV to go to HDMI 2. Now in this instance here, I've put it to HDMI 2, so we're going to press a button called Source. Now it's worn off on this one, but I'll show you it on another controller in a minute. So if we have a look, I'm going down the side. Every time I press Source, it's moving down, and I'm going to go to HDMI 2 and then press OK, and then it's going to move over to HDMI 2. Then all we have to do is go to this button here, and we just need to turn it on. You see where it says power? And when we press power, it will go to green, and then after a few seconds, it will come up on the TV with the PlayStation logo. So that is it, and then we can take it off mute. I just had it on mute just for the purpose of the video. Now, if your TV, it might be slightly differently. It might not be down as source. If you have a look here on this remote control, it's actually down as input. So if you can't find a button called source, have a look to see if you've got a button called input, and basically every time we press that button there, it's going to scroll through. For example, TV, HDMI 1, HDMI 2, it might have an AV input, it might be VGA, etc. On this Samsung TV here, this is for another room, this one is also down as source. So you get the idea, you just need to press the button to let the TV know what input you want to select. And now, that is it. You can see here we're using the Player 1 controller because Player 2 will not control the main screen up here. You can see it doesn't do anything, but Player 1 does. So the one that's in number 1 here. Yeah. And it is as simple as that. And now we can just move it around and we can choose the game that we want to play. And then we don't have to do any setting up, we don't have to sign into anything. So this is why it makes an ideal present on Christmas Day, because it's so, you just hardly any setting up to do. Okay, and that's it. It will just start playing the game. And also with this, you can save the progress of the game as well. Right, there you go. So you can see now that that game's working. Now if we were to go down and press the reset button, it will bring us back to that home menu again. So press that, and then if you have a look up here, it then allows us to basically, let's just go to no. It allows us then to choose another game, and we can also save games as well on the memory card. So there we go, you can see how easy it is to set up, and then when you finish with it, all we have to do is go down and tap the power button, and then it's all off, and then it's safe to unplug. You can see now it's gone to amber, and we can just unplug that from the power supply over there, and then you can carry on watching your normal TV by just going back to source and working your way up to TV, and then you're back watching normal TV again if you want to watch, for example, the Queen's speech on Christmas Day. So there you have it, nice and simple. If you want more details about how well this thing performs, then there's plenty of guides out there on YouTube. I just wanted to do a setup guide. So if this helped you out, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more how-to videos. Take care, bye now.